Hi beautiful people, April Mac here, going live on day 5 of my Masterclass series, which is all about becoming a soul-led entrepreneur. Something I'm very passionate about and super excited about because I'm running a beautiful program on just this very topic. So we'll be taking it a lot deeper when that begins. There's a little change to the start date of that. So if you are someone who's been watching and are interested, we're actually starting a week later than planned. So do PM me if you want more details about it. But so today we're going to be talking about business foundations, getting your business foundations as stable and steady as you can when you start out in business. And if you're already in business, it's not too late for you to reset your foundations. And it's something I've been doing. Even though I'm 3 years down the track, I realized there was a few things that I hadn't got as well as I could have, and I've employed the help of a few other people to help me get on track there. So I want to help you not make the same mistakes I made and hopefully get started on the right foot. So today we'll be talking about that. And if you're watching on replay, sorry, I've just got makeup coming down my face here, which is a bit annoying. It makes me look very tired. If you've been watching, there's been 4 days in the lead up to this, so you're welcome to go back and watch them. They're going to be on my page for a while. Day 1 was all about the mindset to be a soul-led entrepreneur and all the things that you need to come at that with. The second day was all about hobby versus a business. What's the difference? Third day was, let me check, how you can create a vision and get really excited about where your business is going to get headed. Oh my God, I can't get my words out today. And the fourth day was about business models. So what is the simplest model that you can create in order to get your business out there and making money as quickly as possible? So that's what we want. We want to make money as early as possible without letting our expenses get too big in the early days. So again, mistakes that I made, I'm trying to help people avoid those, where I had really high expenses and I wasn't making enough income to cover them in the early days. And really, I was actually having to work in my ordinary corporate job in order to pay for my business. And ideally, you don't want to do that. If you can avoid that, it's a good thing. So we talked about simple business models yesterday. And today we're talking about your business foundation. So really what I want to cover off is sort of admin, accounting, that sort of things that might excite you, or you might think, oh God, that's really boring. Either way, if you are going into business and you are becoming an entrepreneur or you already are one, these are things you cannot avoid. You've got to have these things in place, and the simpler you make them and the more structured you make them from the start, the better for you in the long run. So what things do I want to talk about? I've got my notepad here, so I will be looking down from time to time, just checking on that. And if you've got any questions, please do leave them. If you're not watching live and you've got questions, just leave them here and I'll come back and answer them. First point I want to make is to start with the end in mind. And this is a general principle that I suggest that, you take on in all sorts of areas of your life, but particularly in business. So really, thinking about how you want things to look in the end is how you might want to start out. So if you don't want things to be an absolute mess that you have to then hire help to unpick, then start with some systems. And I'm telling you this from experience. I was actually coached in my early days and told that, don't worry, April, about managing your money too much. Just collect all your receipts, throw them in a shoebox, because you won't have to deal with them until you're earning 50,000. That's the advice of a very, very expensive business coach that I had. And I took that advice and I did just that. And so I kept putting my receipts into a box and with no order, and I didn't track them. I didn't know how much I was spending. It was a bloody nightmare. And then it was down the track that I suddenly had to, open that box and look at Pandora's box, basically. So I don't recommend doing that at all. I recommend starting how you want to finish. So when it comes to receipts and all the things like that, take copies of them with your phone and put them somewhere, either in a filing system on your computer, or if you're going to set up accounting software, I recommend doing that early on too, if you can, and just sending it to your accounting system. So I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. So that's an example of starting with the end in mind. Don't just put a box of receipts together and deal with it later. Set things up from the start. The next point I want to make is where possible, try and keep your business separate to your personal life. And you can do that in a range of areas. Now, I do have overlaps. Clearly, I'm in my bed right now delivering a live to you. So that's a crossover of my personal life and my business life, but that's the part of my brand. So my brand is, you get April Mac, I work from home, I work from my bed, I work from outside, wherever. You know, I did a live the other day of hanging out the washing while I was doing a live. That's part of my brand. So I don't mind mixing those things up. But in general, when I'm doing my work, like doing my admin, doing my accounting, doing my thinking and writing and all those things, I have an office space. I'm lucky enough to have space in my house to have an office. And if you don't have one, I didn't used to have one. I used to do it from my bedroom, and I set myself up in a little corner in my bedroom, and that was like my office. And things were in my office that were related to my business, and other things were elsewhere. So it's nice to have a bit of separation where, especially if you're working from home, where you go to work and then you come home from work. So you keep a little bit of separation so that your business stuff isn't all over the kitchen table all the time, that you actually have a separated, segregated place for doing all that stuff, your filing and all the things. You also might want to separate your time in terms of when you're working in your business and when you're back with the family or back with your partner or back wherever it is that life happens for you. Keep that a little bit separate, because what I've found, and this has all been through my own experience and growth, is that I can work 24/7 if I don't have separation. I have a tendency to be a workaholic, and I love my work so much that I'm always kind of thinking about it. And so I'm not saying don't think about work when you're not at work. You know, that's just impossible, especially if it's a passion and you absolutely love it. That's just not going to happen. But try and create some separation if you can, in terms of, what was I talking about? Separation in terms of physical location and time of the day that you spend working. So I try now and not look at Facebook at midnight, for example, and be replying, because people will send me messages at all times of the day. So I actually have a log off time, and I separate time when I'm with my kids and focused on them, and I don't have my phone and be checking Facebook and doing things. I do a lot of my work through Facebook. That's how I reach my people. And so it's quite tempting to be on there, but then I'll be with the family, and that's too much of a mixture for me. You don't have to do things differently. Like, you can do things however it suits you, but just have a think about that for yourself and decide, do you want to work, you know, you don't have to work 9 to 5 by any means, and I don't work 9 to 5. I work in little pockets through the day when it suits me and my family. And so I might work at night when the kids are in bed, and that is work time for me, and that's totally fine. But I'm making a conscious effort to do that and to keep it quite separate from other things. So hi to anyone joining. The next thing I want to say is, we talked about the keeping separate your workspace. The next thing is maybe keeping a separate bank account. And I didn't do this early on because I kind of started out dabbling, and it was really more of a hobby than anything else. And so I didn't really know how much I'd spent on the business, and I hadn't really tracked anything. And, you know, I wasn't making a huge amount of money. So it was like, oh, you know, it was all a bit of a mess. So I suggest, again, with the same principle of starting with the end in mind, of having a separate bank account. And you can just create that. It doesn't have to be a special business account. You don't have to have a business name associated with it or anything. It can just be in your name, but you keep your transactions that are for your business separate from your personal. And you might give yourself a loan to start with, like get money that you've saved up, or money that you're earning, and loan that to your business and track it and pay your own loan back to yourself from your business when you start making money. It's really useful if you've got that knowledge. I didn't do any of this when I started out, and so actually when it came, you know, a year or 2 years in, I didn't even know how much money I had spent on my business. So you don't even need accounting software, but I will recommend that you do get some. But if you, in the early days, you can just track all of this in a spreadsheet. So just have a spreadsheet, put in there the date that you're starting and how much you're loaning yourself. Like you might give yourself a lump sum, or you might give yourself a weekly amount, or whatever it is, until you're earning money, and track it. And then with all of your expenses, include those in there and track those, so that at any point in time, you can see the balance of your business. Is it at a loss, or is it in profit, or, you know, how does it work? So you can do that with a free spreadsheet. If you watched my session yesterday on business models, I suggested keeping your expenses as low as possible. So I do recommend keeping, you know, just having a spreadsheet. If that's all you can afford right now, have all of this in a spreadsheet, and that's fine. You can track how much you're earning and how much you're spending and see the balance at any point in time. Just checking my notes here. Another good thing to know, so if you've got that spreadsheet, you'll be able to see how much you're spending, and also as you start to earn money, you can start to plan and have. A lot of people struggle with cash flow. So you might get, when you know, once you've started selling stuff, you might have a month where you sell heaps of stuff and you get all this income and you think, yay, I'm rich. And then you spend it all, and then the next month you have a low month. So this is, again, part of the mindset change as well, and the understanding of being an entrepreneur, that things aren't certain, and it's not like an employee where you've got set amount coming in week after week or month after month. As an entrepreneur and a business owner, it's going to look like that. It's going to be a jagged line, hopefully trending upwards, of course, but it's going to be jagged. It's never, you're not going to hit the same amount each month. It just doesn't happen that way. So knowing that and planning for that is a really useful thing to know and be aware of, and having some cash flow management techniques in your tool belt. If you want to join me and learn more about that, then come and join Soul-Led Entrepreneur, where we'll be talking about things like that in more depth. And I am enlisting the help of a beautiful accountant to come in and run a session on that side of things. So we'll get some real in-depth knowledge on the best way to manage your accounts. Let's have a look here. What else? I did mention yesterday about trying to see if you can earn money as quickly as possible in your business, which is, you know, by using a simple business model, keeping things simple, and using what's called lean startup methodology, which basically means you get your services or products out to market quickly, you test them out, you check the market for feedback, and then you pivot and tweak and improve on them, but you do it quickly and you get money coming in quite quickly. That's what we would be aiming for, and that's what I would be explaining to you in more depth in our program. So that is really useful information to know. It's, again, what I was saying earlier is not what I did in the start. I created a very, very complex business model that never made me money and cost me a lot of time and effort. So I really recommend starting with a very simple model so that you can test out your ideas quickly and simply without breaking the bank. I think that's really all I wanted to cover today. If you do want to know about accounting software, the one that I use is called Xero. It's Xero. And it's very common to be using that these days, and most accountants will have it as well, and you can give them access to it. And I have a bookkeeper as well now. My bookkeeper and my accountant have access to my Xero account, so they can just make sure that everything's on track, that I'm recording things correctly, and fix anything up that I'm doing. You know, I'm not an expert in that, so they need to be able to look at it and tweak it and do certain things that I don't even want to know about, because, again, you know, outsourcing the functions that aren't in your genius zone is also something I recommend. But we can't always do that from the get-go if we don't have a lot of funds to support ourselves while we're starting out. But certainly something you can do down the track, and I highly recommend. If you're not a guru in admin and accounting, then outsource it. That's what I've been doing, because it's not my forte. So I think that's pretty much it. If you want to know more and you want to go deeper and want to learn with me, then do jump into my program, Soul-Led Entrepreneur. We start in a week's time. So I've been promoting that we start tomorrow. I'm delaying it by a week. So it's next Saturday, the 19th of December, and it runs for 10 weeks. We'll be doing a couple of sessions before Christmas. Then we'll have a little bit of a break, and then we start again in January. And basically, there's going to be a whole heap of information in there. Lots of lives. You'll be able to pick my brain and ask lots of questions, and we'll work together to get your business up and running and your foundations set, your vision established, and we're also going to get you a transition plan. So wherever you are now, we're going to get you a bit of a plan so that you know when and how you're going to get to where you're headed. That's really important, especially if you're an employee right now and you want to transition to having your own business. Then having a plan to do that is really, really important. So if you want to know more about it, go to aprilmac.com.au/entrepreneur and you'll get all the details there. And I look forward to seeing some of you in that program. And if you're liking the content here on my page, then just keep hanging out here because I do lots of free stuff often. And please ask questions, say hello. Let's get to know each other better. All right, that's it for today. Lots of love and bye for now.